Dead people were so many that we ran out of earth to cover them. First, the pits outside the walls filled, deep trenches dug in haste, where bodies were laid side by side without prayer, without names. Then, the shallow graves inside the city were taken, gardens torn open, courtyards broken apart, even beside churches where bells would not stop ringing. When there was no more ground left to dig, we carried them to the sea. At night, when the streets were quiet, we hauled the bodies down to the harbor walls. We tied ropes around their ankles. We lowered them slowly, trying not to look at their faces in the moonlight. The tide carried some away. Others drifted back by morning. Some we stacked inside old towers along the walls. We sealed the doors with planks and hammered them shut. The air inside those towers grew thick and hot. After a few days, even passing near them made men gag. You cannot imagine the smell. It did not move like wind. It stayed. It clung to skin. It followed you home. It mixed with sweat and fear. Sometimes I woke at night thinking it was in my mouth. My name is Stephanos. I am a dockworker. I unload grain from the ships that come from Alexandria. Or I did, before the sickness came and took the harbor from us. Weeks before it reached us, sailors spoke of deaths in Egypt. In Pelusium first, they said. Then Alexandria. They said whole houses were silent. They said men dropped in the streets and did not rise. We shrugged. Egypt is far. Egypt is always sick with something. Floods, fever, rot. The ships still came, heavy with wheat for Constantinople, heavy with ropes soaked in seawater, heavy with rats hiding in the hull, slipping between sacks, running along beams while we worked below. I remember the first man who fell. His name was Marcos. He was stronger than most of us. He could lift a full sack of grain without help. One morning, he complained of heat in his head. By afternoon, he could barely stand. By night, his neck had swollen hard under the skin, like a stone pressing outward. He burned with fever. His eyes rolled white. He muttered words none of us understood. He was dead before the second sunset, then another, then 3 more. We told ourselves it was bad air from the ships, rot from spoiled grain, a curse carried by southern winds. Some said God was angry. Others said the emperor had offended heaven. Some said nothing at all. They only crossed themselves and kept working. But the sickness did not care what we believed. It moved faster than carts, faster than imperial orders, faster than priests could chant. Within days, men from the docks were gone. Within a week, men from the warehouses. Soon after, merchants. Then their wives. Then their children. The harbor changed. No shouting, no bargaining, no cranes groaning under weight, no curses thrown across decks, only gulls, only the slap of water against stone, and the low sound of men whispering prayers into their beards while pretending they were not afraid. The warehouses remained full of grain, enough to feed the city, enough to keep thousands alive, but no one came to claim it. The men who owned it were dead. The scribes who counted it were dead. The buyers lay behind closed doors, some already rotten, some still breathing beside bodies that no longer moved. Even the overseers stopped coming. We dockworkers began to understand. The sickness had not come to visit. It had come to stay. By the time we understood what was happening, the city had already changed. Constantinople had always been loud. Traders shouting, soldiers marching, priests chanting beneath the great dome of Hagia Sophia. Now the sound was different. Carts. Always carts. They rolled through the streets day and night, wheels grinding over stone, carrying bodies piled without order. At first, families brought their own dead. Then there were too many. Soon the city began paying men to collect them. They wrapped cloth around their faces and forced open doors when no one answered. Entire households lay still, a father in one room, a mother in another, children beside them, sometimes a baby crying among the dead. The emperor himself fell ill. Word spread through the harbor that Justinian had the same swelling, the same burning fever. Some said God was judging the empire. Others said if even the emperor could fall, no man was safe. We waited to hear if he had died. He survived. Many did not. They dug deeper pits beyond the walls, but even those filled. Some bodies were placed in abandoned fortifications. Some were stacked in towers and sealed away. I helped carry them. We worked without speaking. You stop speaking after a while. The hands move. The eyes do not look too long. My wife fell ill in the second month. She had been strong. She kept the boys inside, washing their hands, whispering prayers before sleep. When the fever took her, she tried to hide it. By night, her breathing changed. By morning, the swelling rose along her neck. I held her while she burned. She asked if the boys were safe. I told her yes. She died before sunset. My middle son began burning 2 days later. His small body shook beneath blankets that could not warm him. I carried him to a church, not because I believed the stones would heal him, but because I had nowhere else to go. The priests were exhausted. Faith had once been loud in this city. Bells, incense, processions. Now it was quieter. Men crossed themselves slowly. Women whispered instead of sang. I stopped asking for miracles, only for breath to continue. My son survived. I do not know why. When the sickness weakened, the city did not celebrate. Markets reopened slowly. The harbor filled again with cautious ships, but there were empty places everywhere. Before the plague, Constantinople felt eternal. After it, we understood something. Stone walls do not protect against what cannot be seen. Domes do not stop death. And faith does not always shout. Sometimes it simply endures. Now I return to the docks each morning. I unload grain again. I raise 3 boys alone. And when I smell the sea at night, I remember the bodies we lowered into it. And I wonder whether the water will ever forget.